Everyone and their mom, ourselves included, had already penciled in second-year former fourth-round pick Dru Samia coming out of Oklahoma University. Boomer Sooner! To be the Vikings starting right guard in 2020, replacing the surprisingly cut Josh Klein, right? It's like a fait accompli. It's like, whatever happens with Elfline, whatever, but the right guard is going to be Dru Samia. And obviously he's got potential. He's got some nastiness that we love about him. And also he played the bulk of the snaps at right guard week 17 versus the Bears in the exhibition game. So you're like, all right, so it's obvious that Kubiak, Dennison, see a little something in him. Hopefully year 2, he'll start thriving. He'll be a peacock. Got to let him fly. All right. But not so fast. So Gary Kubiak yesterday was addressing the media jackals, and he was talking about the right guard competition. And he said it's currently between 3 guys. Rick Dennison favorite, veteran Dakota Dozier. 2017 UDFA Aviante Collins coming out of TCU. He's had a couple of injury issues, but the Vikings used him all over the offensive line. As well as second-round pick Ezra Cleveland coming out of Boise State, which is fairly interesting. We'll talk about that later today. But he didn't mention Dru Samia. It's surprising that whenever coaches talk, whenever they address the media, they never want to give something that the media can run with, something they can really sink their teeth into. And most coaches, and Gary Kubiak is one of them, are very calculated about what they say. And leaving Dru Samia off this list, the 4th-round pick, the guy who played a lot of snaps at right guard last year, I mean, that makes a statement. I mean, obviously, we picked up on that. And it's surprising that you didn't be like, oh, yeah, he's in there, too. He's in that competition. Oli Udoh, when he comes off of the COVID reserve list, he's in there, too. I mean, coaches, whenever you ask about a position, especially in training camp, they will literally name everyone. Just because they don't want to piss anyone off, they don't want to hurt feelings, they want to do this, they want to do that. Zimmer will sometimes, but I mean that's because it's Zimmer. But I mean, it's interesting. Actually, Kubiak did address Dru Samia. He said this about Dru, quote, "I have big expectations for Dru." End quote. That was it. That was really it. Right. So now maybe we're giving Kubiak too much credit here, but maybe part of me thinks that this is all a ruse. This is part of me thinking that Kubiak's playing 7D underwater chess here, where he knows Dru Samia, right? He was in the building with him last year, got to know the rookie. He's like, oh, yeah, that guy, 73. Dru Samia is a fiery dude. Plus, if you watch any game tape of him, both in the NFL as well as at Oklahoma, I mean, dude plays with a chip on his shoulder, and by all accounts is sort of that way off the field as well, right? But Kubiak, if he's taking the calculated route, knows how to play the game. He's been around the block, Super Bowl winning head coach. So maybe Kubiak's diss of not listing Samia here is a move that's like, all right, I'm going to piss Dru Samia off because pissed off Dru Samia is the best Dru Samia. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to let it fire under his ass, and he's going to come in and destroy worlds once the pads get clacking, right? And, I mean, technically, Kubiak has never seen any of the offensive linemen on the field in pads since becoming official OC, but he obviously saw them last year, as well as Rick Dennison was obviously in the trenches with them last year. And when the pads do come out on next Wednesday, August 12th, I mean, there will be plenty of time for Samia to bash some skulls and change some hearts and minds, right? So, obviously, it was an interesting omission. And yes, this could be, they haven't really hit the practice field. There is no preseason this year, but just a couple of walkthroughs. I mean, players are literally being in the building for the first time since everything was canceled this offseason. So it could be, Kubiak really not thinking and just giving the edge. Tie and slight disadvantage go to veterans, as coaches always do, especially early on in training camp, as well as talking up players who the team invested high draft capital in. So it's like, who's good? That guy that our GM took. He's really good, as well as, these veterans, the guys who knows the system. Yeah, but either way, I mean, both Samia and Udoh could have a uphill to climb because realistically, not going to be a ton of snaps to go around, especially in this crowded offensive line room. And if Kubiak is true to what he's saying, and Dennison is going to be put Samia behind the 8 ball, as well as Oli Udoh, who's still on the COVID reserve list, if they're not getting snaps and if they're working with like a 3rd and 4th team, chances are, I mean, since contact practices will be relatively limited during this 5-week training camp and no preseason games to really put some good tape out there, I mean, it's going to be hard to have upward mobility. So if this is actually legit and Samia is going to be starting on those lower teams, he might not even make the team. He might be a practice squad guy, which is just weird to say, right? Or a guy who everyone thought was going to be the day one starting right guard. All of a sudden, he's on a practice squad. I don't know. There's a long ways to go. It's like 5 weeks until there's actual football, but we'll see. But your thoughts? Dirty Dru Samia. Love him. Not getting the time of day from Gary Kubiak. Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support that work? Pull some in the Venmo. But until next time, Skol, production value.